to have to do something significant for me. In other words, if God's trying to convince me and to encourage me that the thing I've been praying for, I'm getting ready to get, that ain't that hard. So, but don't trick me. Because everything that sounds like it's of God ain't of God. You know that when Moses went to Pharaoh, he had this rod in his hand, and this rod, it was so significant that when Moses told Aaron to throw it down, it turned into a snake, a serpent. Did y'all know that? Well, do you know that when the rod turned into a serpent, that Pharaoh told his magicians, I said musicians, to do the same thing, and theirs turned too? So everything you see that may be a wonder, don't mean it came from God. So we have to be careful. Here is this woman. I wouldn't doubt one bit that while she's out there doing her fortune telling, and I hope that those of you who are in this room, that you don't let nobody trick you with no fortune telling. I've not had the privilege of going to anybody's building and them telling me, reading my palm, not in my life. And I know some of you have, but if they read your poem, your palm, and they tell you something, does that mean that it's so? It's from God? In fact, I got a friend of mine, and it's been quite a number of years. She told me that I could look at the palm of my hand and see how long I'm gonna live. I thought somebody said, you heard that? And she looked in the palm of my hand and told me I had a long life. I guess I have done some palm reading. I just thought about that. maybe I need to think of something else to talk about. And I have lived. But I don't believe that. I don't believe that the lines in my hand determines the length of my life. Now, you may believe that, and because you know so many people who had long lines in their hand, they still alive. But I don't believe it. But just because I don't believe it don't mean people won't follow. Because here's this woman, this damsel had people following her. They didn't know that she wasn't of God. And can I tell you something else? She didn't know she wasn't of God. That's a bigger problem. You know, sometimes you be looking at the sincerity of the people, and you determine whether or not they're valid by how sincere they are. But just because you're sincere don't mean you're right. I know a lot of people who absolutely believe what they say they believe, but that don't mean that they're right. And the reason I know this woman I didn't think she was violating God is because she was following them every day for many days, talking about these are the men of God. Hear ye them. Don't sound like somebody. You understand? She they're just like me. But they weren't. And this is a day I think we got to be careful. So people followed her that didn't know what was on her. She was able to see. She was able to see things, but she didn't. But nobody stopped and asked, "Is it a God thing?" You ever heard prophecy and it was so on point. It was just what you thought you was thinking. And you said, they got God. But just because you get a prophecy right don't mean it's God. you got to be able to discern it. You got to be able to discern it. Now I'm gonna move a little different because this feels like a Sunday school class, and I really wanted it to be a little different. But you ever, if we're gonna understand discernment, it's got to be your ability to see a thing and know if it's a God thing. You ever, we don't do discernment much anymore. We used to be able to do that. Now we think that all our feelings is God telling us, but that ain't always the case. But I came up in a day in church where they look at you and they say, something ain't right. It's something off. You hear preaching, you say, that ain't. It's something off. And I know that's old school, and I know some of you think that's spooky and suspicious, but it's not. It is, I'm not talking about intuition, women. Because women can say, and I'm not saying your intuition is off. Please don't get rid of it, because it didn't keep you out of enough trouble. But that ain't always discernment. Sometimes that's just recognizing the same spirit that you've seen before. See, some things you don't have to discern. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you see the same patterns entering your life again, you only have to say, well, God's been showing me this. No, I've seen this before. And I don't have to make that real spiritual. You don't have to come to church at all and see some things when you see somebody sneaking drinks, they probably drinking. You don't need you don't need the Holy Ghost to do that. Right? What you do need is a willingness to accept what you see. Right? And sometimes I think we miss seeing some things because we're not willing to accept what we see. We're not willing to accept what God is trying to show us. Like if God has given all of us something that He's put in our hand to give us the ability to know whether or not this is light or darkness. Particularly in this world, we need to know that. I mean, we just talked about the staff in Exodus 7 when Moses had the staff. Not only did he tell Aaron to throw the staff down, but he took the same staff and he struck the Nile. And so whenever God is trying to enlighten the church, He's going to use something to make sure you know that you're operating in something that belongs to me. This ain't come from you. This is so it's about knowing God, and the best ability, the best weapon we have to determine if a thing is God is our ability to pray. Now we're going into another season of prayer, so I think those of you who have been praying with us since February, I think it is, that it's been our ability to pray that has been that God has taken the cover off some things, enlightened some things, and show us what some truth is. Would y'all agree with that? And when you're praying, it reveals more to you. And I'm not talking about if you're just praying for cars and houses and get your rent paid. That you got to pray for those things. You don't have them. But I'm talking about a deeper level of prayer. I'm talking about a level of prayer that God show me what's you and show me what I should avoid. It's good to know what you ought to avoid, isn't it? I mean, and we don't always know what to avoid because we're often led by what we desire. But in prayer, God deepens our connection to Him so that we want what He wants. That's what prayer does. Prayer, if you limit prayer to simply saying, God, I want this, give it to me, and you're only praising Him for the stuff He's given to you, you don't understand the level of what prayer is. Prayer is really designed to reveal what He wants. Not what he gives me. What do you want from me? What do you want me to have? And that's hopefully in this prayer, that's what I hope we start seeing. We start seeing, and you won't have to come to church and read nobody. When you come, you'll know who's who, because God will be illuminating something in you. That's what prayer illuminates, doesn't it? That's why it takes so long for most of us to pray. You know, it don't take long to ask God for a thing for him to do it, does it? What takes so long is to prepare us to get in a position where he can hear us. Right? Because the only thing we be really wanting is for him to hear what we want. God, I thank you. And when I say us, you see, I didn't pull myself out, did I? Yeah. So I want to give you a good definition of divination, because I asked you earlier, and I didn't go back and do it. And here's when you know you got something operating from a spirit of divination. Divination is the practice of seeking knowledge of the future or hidden things through some spiritual occult or other god. And that's important to know, that you're not just seeking knowledge of the future, but you're not going through God. You know, when if you've ever had a, you know, I mentioned palm readers, but I know y'all don't do palm readers, do you? But if you've ever been in one of those situations, and there's something that you want to know, and you know, am I gonna get to marry him, or and she tell you, say, well, I see a bright future ahead of you. That ain't marrying him necessarily, is it? Thank God. The bright future might be, you know, he's leaving tomorrow. Thank God. You know, can you set that out your palm? I don't know. But it didn't come from God. And the Bible commands us in Leviticus not to do that. It tells us, do not turn to mediums or seek spiritualists, because you'll be defiled by them. And he says, I'm the Lord who said it. Don't. In other words, don't go after them. Paul says that this woman followed us for many days, saying, these are the servants of the Most High, that show you the way of salvation. When Paul heard that, after a while he got fed up, and the Bible says he turned and rebuked the spirit that was in her. He turned and rebuked the spirit that was in her, because it wasn't God that said it, did it? Look at verse 18. That's where it was. She did it for many days, but Paul, being grieved, turned and said unto the spirit, I command thee in the name of Jesus Christ to come out of her. Now you missed it. This is a prophetess who Paul says ain't come from God. And while she's trying to keep things a level, he's saying to her, no, you got a demon. And it says, come out of her. Right? And I love the way that verse ends. And he came out the same hour. Now, I didn't know we were going to be doing Vacation Bible School tonight. I mean, when I started studying this, I didn't know I was going to be doing it in a Vacation Bible School, or I probably wouldn't have done it. But since I'm here, I might as well tell you it's going to be important that we get the courage to start speaking to things the way they are and begin to announce what God's saying concerning it. If it ain't of God, let's not play with it. Let's call it what it is. Now, you're not from God. It's not the spirit. And the Bible says that when he rebuked the spirit, he didn't rebuke her, but he rebuked the spirit in her. He came out the same hour. The same hour. Now, I love the next verse, if you follow around, those of you who got Bibles, I got time to give away another gift card. These gift cards come from Chick-fil-A, the most hated place in America. I don't eat Chick-fil-A, but my wife, I think, is addicted. And some of you are addicted. Because there's no way I could, Pastor Bobby raised his hand. There's no way they can take a plain piece of chicken, tear off a piece of chicken, and folk wrap around your store 2-3 times all day. If it ain't something on that chicken. Now, I ain't trying to make y'all stop going to Chick-fil-A. I don't go because I feel something might not be so. It's a chicken. And Gloria going to tell me it's seasoned. No, Gloria. I won't let you tell me that now, I've had Chick-fil-A. I know she know the truth, but it set me free. There's no way that I'm going to let you tell me. Am I right? Thank you for that confirmation. That they didn't put something on that. This is for you. I felt like you was trying to say, that's mine, that's mine. That's okay. All right, yours. But anyway, I mean, you know, Popeye did all they could to win y'all back and see, but they couldn't put the spell on it, or whatever they put on it. I don't know. I don't eat Popeyes. Verse number 19 said this. See, I brought that back. I may just got spiritual all of a sudden. It says that, you remember, he says, he rebuked the spirit, came out, and when her master saw that all hope was of gain was gone, they got upset. Because they now lost the ability to pimp her. Because that's what people do when they find, rather than deliver you from your dysfunction, they want to operate with gain in your dysfunction. So when they say we can't make no more money on her, they got mad at them. Right? That's interesting to me that we have people in our lives who know that we are where we are, but instead of strengthening us, instead of helping us be delivered from the places we're in, they're gaining from that place we're in. They gain from it. If it's nothing else but hearing your story makes them feel better about theirs. Because they were okay with you until God delivered you. That's a problem. And you need to, you know what? You need to observe your surroundings and see who's made better by you not getting better. That's the problem, wasn't it? That, you know, I mean, you would think that these guys, oh, look at God, he done freed her, but she couldn't read no more palms. Girl, if I knew, I would have never let you fool with them if I had known. If I known that God was getting ready to change your direction, I wouldn't let people in your direction. They got so mad that they looked at the apostles, and they got mad that that they got delivered. Say, these men are raising havoc. They're teaching things that are not lawful. I mean, you have to read the text because I mean I'm almost finished right now. They're doing things that are not lawful, and of course you know they took them and they beat them and they put them in jail. That's a good text, isn't it? Yeah. Chained them and roped them and locked them up, and all they did was did God's will. All it was anointed. People don't necessarily, want you anointed. All you did was let God bless you. Why you want me to stay the way I was when God's trying to make me the way He designed? I don't understand. I don't understand why so often people get mad with you because you tell them truth. That you that you help them. And they got mad because this woman who was bound is now delivered. But it's our job to bring deliverance. Whatever it costs us, deliverance has been our lot. And of course they locked them up, and the design was for them to be walking in depression. But how you gonna get depressed when even if they prosecute you and persecute you, if God is with you? Don't worry about what they do to you if God's with you. Because Paul had got grieved, and when you get grieved enough, you're gonna call deliverance out of somebody, into somebody's life that needed. And so here she is, free again. And in that same hour she was free again, and they got mad because she was free again. They didn't mind you living a double life. They didn't mind the things that you were doing, just because what you was doing in the church, you didn't do the same thing when you left the church. They didn't mind. But when you got free, because you know what, sometimes people don't want to see you free because you now become condemnation for them. You understand? I mean, they want to see you cuss a little. Because I feel better when I find out other people ain't as perfect as, that way they don't be messing with me. Well, I'm not talking about me. I'm just talking about y'all. This is church. Yeah. But there's some people you don't need to let them have your secrets. You need to be who you say you are. You need to be totally delivered. Because if they think you partly delivered, then you can't even help them get delivered. Because it's hard. It's hard to pull people out of the fire when you're on fire. It's hard to cast out demons if you're full of them. So I can see their problem, because I've been saved long enough to have to walk through that kind of problem, that people that I thought could help me was comfortable with me. And when people are comfortable with you, they don't cast things out of you. Y'all awful quiet, but I ain't changed my mind. They don't. How many situations you were in or you've been in where it was easier to leave it alone rather than speak life into it? We talk about he's the light of the world, but we don't expose light on things that are in darkness. That's a problem. That's a problem. He is the light of the world. Yeah. But so are we. We provide light to, when we come into a room, things ought to change, huh? Things ought to change. I'm going to tell this story. When I go home, I don't go home as much now, but I used to go home, and on my street, the guys that I grew up with, they still there. They still got a hangout spot. And since I know where it is, I go hang out. I mean, I don't, right? And when I go up there, they tend to, hey, that's Charles. They're gonna say, hey, that's Charles. And when I get there, of course, it's a card table. So I don't know how much I can tell y'all, and still, it's up by the card table. And well, there's glasses and bottles on the table, but it's outside. It's in the yard. Somebody been to one. Okay. Oh, you just enjoyed my story. Okay. That ain't your testimony. Watch it, because I'll show. I'm trying to bring somebody in now, because I hate to be out here by myself. And they'll take their bottles and put them under the table, right? When I come up, and I mean, like they don't want me to see them drinking. Yeah, but some of them are drunks, but they take right. Well, when I used to go, I used to say, hey man, don't do it, because I don't want to be disruptive. I don't want them to say, oh, don't come up here, or nothing like that. But they, I used to say, don't put that on. Put that up. That don't bother me. That's what I say. Like if somebody I'm talking to, they cussing, I'm like, oh, don't worry about it. I ain't offended by no cussing. But it's not whether or not you're in offense. It's you understanding that you light. They ain't putting it away because they think that somehow, that's gonna make you a drunk, gonna make you. Because they were drinking beer, and we can have that discussion some other time. But I don't feel like doing it unless y'all make me. But they were saying to me, you're not like us. This is where the church, I think, is losing some of its ground. We are no longer willing to be told you're not like us. We want to be light but dark. We want to be light skinned. But we just read that in him is no darkness at all. Right? We want to be kind of light, like Bud. Oh, yeah, okay. I'm glad you see you real young. You wouldn't know. I could explain it to you. You'd be talking about what that means. I get it. But that ain't how this works. You got to walk totally in it, or you're no longer in it. Are y'all with me? Come on. Now, I went all this way to get right here, so y'all come on and stay with me. When people see you, they can't be unsure about who you are. And the only way to cause them to not be unsure about who you are is you got to be sure about who you are. I can't be kind of like Jesus. And I know there's some things we like to say, well, ain't nobody perfect. Well, you ain't trying. No, ain't nobody perfect, but to give it a good shot. My God, you ain't, you know what I'm saying? Help, give me something to work with. Yeah, there's some things you have not overcome, because I still believe in progressive sanctification just like everybody else. I mean, there's some things. I was 6 months saved before I stopped cussing. Mostly. It was a year before I, stopped cussing for real. I would only cuss when I get mad, like some of you still stuck right there, I know. But I'm just talking. But so so there's some things I hadn't gotten rid of. Aren't you glad that God don't show you everything you need to get rid of? I'm so glad that he let me work on one thing at a time. People talking about my attitude, but I've been, that ain't my assignment right now. That's what you seek. Man, man, I'm trying not to get these 6 months of lockup. You ever talking about something? You need to work on your attitude. Man, if you knew some of the stuff I need to get rid of, you'd be saying, keep your attitude, work on that. That's progressive sanctification. That God don't overwhelm you by showing you all of you. Aren't you glad? You see, and it works so it works so special that when you're living in how many people have been saved more than 30 years? Okay, that's quite a few. I like to tell people, I've been saved 46 years, off and on. Doing all I can with what I got now, off and on. I've been doing the best I can for 46 years. And there's some, how many people have been saved over 40 years? Over 40. Wow. Is there anybody here been saved over 50 years? Man, y'all come and get one of these cars, man. Y'all need to go to Chick-fil-A. Y'all need to go to Chick-fil-A. I mean, they ain't no. Go get some of that battered chicken. Yeah, look at it. She said, "Ooh, I knew it had something on it." She said, "Delicious chicken." Hey, y'all forgive me if y'all Chick-fil-A fans, because I don't do Apple, so that's a lot of stuff y'all wouldn't want to hear me talk. I'm talking about y'all phones. Don't you take no picture of me with no Apple phone, because it'll capture your spirit. I'm just playing, y'all. Where was I? Y'all done got me. No, before all of that, before the spirit, get the spiritual back. 50 years. Thank you. 50 years. You've been, I've not always understood it, but those things that God start convicting me is the place that he wants corrected in me. And we want to be saved, right? And that's a reality that all of us got one more thing we need to work on. If we could just get that one more thing. And then when we get that, we just get one more thing. And one more thing. I remember, my wife ain't in here, so I can, I feel so free when she's not here, because I can kind of tell her, my wife used to tell me I ain't had no patience. See? Now, I just thought she was doing dumb stuff. But y'all gonna tell her? Now, see, they over here talking about I'm going to get in trouble. That means they're going to snitch. I'm not going to tell it. Yeah. Somebody said I'm being recorded. Okay. Where am I being recorded at? Are we streaming? Oh, I'm sorry. Hang on. I'm not going to say it, though.